Hey digital artists, in this video we're going to talk about our Latte Layers Google Drawing art project where we use the masking tool and transparent colors. So we're going to create a layered latte using found images. You're going to use insert image, search the web to find some images that will help you create your layers of your latte. I was searching for different types of stone that were brown, so I tried searching using the toolbar. So you're going to click insert image, search the web, and the toolbar will open on the right side. So you can search for things like wrapping paper or quartz or marble and insert those images into your Google Drawing. I like to create a bunch of images I can work with at the same time by clicking on them, inserting them, and moving them to the side. Sometimes the images will not work, but most of the time they will. You can also click and drag images from a Google search into your Google Drawing the old school way. So I'm also going to try and find a variety of different values using the search terms brown, marble, stone. And I'm going to take all of those images and put them to the side so that I have a bunch of choices to work with for my design. I like using stone as a reference because it has lots of textured lines. I'm also going to search for plate, so I use plate.png as my search term, and I was able to find some different plates to work with. You could also use the website remove.bg to find an image on Google and then remove the background so that it is transparent. I'm also going to look for a spoon, so I type in spoon.png and I click on a bunch of different spoon images. Some of them have a background, some of them do not, so I take my time and I look through each one and decide which ones are good and which ones are bad and sort them out around the outside of my canvas. Now I'm going to start setting up my artwork. So another thing that I need to do is find a pattern for the wall and something for the table. So I'm going to try and find a pattern that I like for the wall. This part, you can really customize it to your own personal wants and needs. You could also use just a solid color for this, but I'm going to look for geometric patterns that maybe are pink. So I think I find one that I like, and then I click on it, and that's going to become my background. So I'll line that up with the canvas and stretch it to make it fit the entire canvas. Then I want to find a wooden table like my reference picture, so I typed in wood pattern and found an image. Then I used the blue anchor squares to resize it to fit the bottom section of the canvas. That's going to be my table surface. Then my plate is on the bottom, so I can use Control-Shift-Arrow key up to bring it to the front of the layers. Then I'm going to start to build my latte layers. So I use Arrange, Order, Bring to Front, or Control-Shift-Arrow key, and then I use that one shape in the masking tool that looks kind of like a curve, and I rotate it so that it fits. Control-Shift-Up arrow key will make it so that the layered images come back to the front, and then I use the masking tool, which is located in the toolbar, and I click the arrow next to it and choose the shape that I'd like. For my layers, I try and do from the darkest to the lightest using the masking tool, and then this last one I use the cylinder shape. I can use the yellow diamond to change the shape of the cylinder. I'm going to use another cylinder as my cup, but I'm going to use a custom color where that last number I make 50%. 50% is going to be the value of the transparency. So once I make that, I add a cup handle using one of these shapes. I chose to use the crescent moon, and I adjust it so that it looks more like a handle. Now I have a glass looking cup. The background I adjusted with the format options to make it darker. And then I am pretty pleased with how my composition looks because of using the transparent color over those images makes it look like the colors of my latte are inside of a glass. Then I choose one of the spoons that I found earlier and I rotate it and align it so that it looks like it's resting on the edge of the cup. I also use the format options to add a drop shadow to that image. Adding the drop shadow to the image that I have with no background makes it look more three-dimensional. You can also add a drop shadow to your glass if that helps make it look a little bit more three-dimensional. I'm going to create whipped cream using the polyline tool. So I'm going to create this waving shape and I'm going to make it a light value with no border, transparent border. Then I'm going to make another value that's slightly more gray, and I'm just going to duplicate that shape and resize it. And then I'm going to alternate going between the lighter value and the darker value and resizing that little whipped cream shape that I made to make it look like the whipped cream is layered on top of each other and has a little bit more value and texture. That's how I create my whipped cream very quickly, just by using Control D to duplicate that shape. I adjust each one of the pieces so that it looks like it's resting on top of the cup. Sign your name using Insert Word Art and choose a font and color and design that complements your image. This is going to make it easier to display your artwork and return it to you once it's printed out. Once you're done typing your name, use File, Download, JPEG, or PNG so that you can add this to your art portfolio slides. I can't wait to see what you create for your digital collage.